Hi, everyone. Welcome to DevRunner. My name is Paul, and this is episode 12 of Subscriber Spotlight, where I have conversations with inspiring runners to motivate you on your running journey. My guests today are amazing runners, hikers, videographers, and fellow YouTubers who hail from California. Their stunningly beautiful videos have been a favorite of mine since they started their channel. In fact, I always watch their stuff on the big screen TV to make sure I get the full effect. So today, I'm privileged to speak with Adam and Elise from Live Hard and Love Hard. Thank you guys for being here. I'm thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much, Paul. We're so excited.
What a nice intro.
That's awesome. So just to get right into it, I'm hoping that you guys can sort of give me a short bio of the two of you as individuals first, where you're from, where you came from, anything about your background that you want to share.
All right, so I grew up actually in the Bay Area, just outside of Berkeley, and I came down to Los Angeles for college. And I went back up north for a little while to go to grad school. I ended up mastering in genetics and genetic counseling. And I knew I wanted to end up back in Los Angeles. So I've been working down here for the past 6 years. I work at a hospital. I'm a genetic counselor.
Oh, wow.
But I spend pretty much all my free time is just out running on the trails, doing all sorts of fitness activities. I just love it.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
And I grew up in Washington State and doing lots and lots of outdoor activities from the time I can remember. I mean, one of my first memories is climbing giant trees at our cabin. And I came to LA after college, and now I'm a writer and a ghostwriter, work on all kinds of campaigns and speeches and all sorts of things like that.
That's amazing.
And much like Elise, pretty much all my free time is spent doing some kind of outdoor adventure, be it a run or a hike or a climb, just something.
Gotcha. So I just kind of want to dig a little deeper into what you guys just said. And I know at the beginning of this, it's going to be a little awkward because I want to get like both of your separate backgrounds, but this will eventually merge into like one cohesive thing here.
Okay.
But I was hoping you could talk a little bit more about your athletic backgrounds and how that eventually turned into your running/hiking obsession.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I started out as a fairly high level athlete. I played basketball in college, and I also played a lot of other sports pretty seriously. I ran track pretty seriously in high school. I played semi-pro volleyball after college when I was in LA. And I was really, really into sports. Always also loved the outdoors, always doing hiking, things like that. But I had a pretty serious back injury when I was 29 and had to have surgery. And the doctor said, you will not be doing any of these contact type sports anymore.
Wow.
You can bike, you can hike, you can maybe trail run, and that's it. And for a minute I was kind of devastated. And then I was like, hey, this is an opportunity. All that intensity that I was putting into training for these, semi-pro kind of sports, this can go into adventure. And wow, has it. I mean, I just went from being kind of like an occasional weekend hiker to someone who, we go after some pretty serious peaks now, and some pretty intense trail runs as well. And it's been pretty great. So, that's something I would want to say to anybody who's had a sports injury or something. Just do the thing you can do, and it can all be beautiful.
Great advice right off the top. Now, Elise, tell me a little bit about your athletic background and how you started running and hiking.
So mine is very different.
Okay.
I grew up in a family that was not athletically oriented at all. So my entire family are all professional musicians. And
how cool.
It's really cool. And that's where my musical background comes from. But I just, growing up, I was not doing any sort of sports for the most part. I swam when I was younger, and I'm a pretty good swimmer now still, but I just kind of lost interest. I was more of like a musical theater junkie. Maybe that's part of why I love being on the YouTube as well. I have that musical theater background. But when I met Adam, I could not even run like a quarter mile.
Wow.
I would be in like this mode of, I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to start running. And I would run down the street and I would be in so much pain. My lungs would be burning. My ears would be hurting. And I was like, this sucks. I'm not doing this. And so it was like years of that in college until I met Adam. And our very second date, he actually decided to take us on a hike. And maybe you can tell this story too.
Well, okay. So I'm older than Elise, so I had some relationships before our relationship, even though we've been together 10 years now.
Okay.
And one of the lessons I learned is that I need to be with someone who has perseverance, who has grit. And to me, there's no better way to demonstrate that than just by doing hard physical challenges. It can be a hike, it can be a run, but that quality of perseverance is just something I need in my life. And I learned that the hard way through various relationships. And so I just knew I was just so into Elise in every other way, but I needed to know right away, is she going to be one of those people who has perseverance and grit? And of course she was. I mean, she absolutely went for it.
Yep.
And, yeah,
and little did he know, he was just creating a little running and hiking monster. So after we started hiking early on, he introduced me slowly, but eventually it got to a point where I was just like this running junkie, and I was trying to get him to go out on the trails with me every single weekend. And sometimes he's just like, can we please just like nap and like maybe eat some snacks and stay at home? Even
now, like, I think I'm pretty hardcore, but Elise is definitely more hardcore. I'll be like, can we go to Hawaii and we could do a hike, but then we could also lay on the beach and maybe just do a 3-mile run or something. She's like, no, we're going to do we're going to do sand to summit. And I'm like, what? That's just a hellscape.
Oh, boy.
We always end up doing it, and I'm always glad we did it. But Elise is definitely the more hardcore of the two of us now.
Wow, that's awesome. And it's funny because that go get it attitude that the two of you have comes across so clearly in your videos, and it's so nice to kind of talk to you guys behind the scenes here and find out that that's exactly the way you think of each other. That's so cool. That's so cool. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit here because I think we've kind of naturally talk through some of the questions that I had written down, but I want to get right into what motivated you guys to start a YouTube channel in the first place.
That's a good question. Do you want to do it or you want me? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So for me, I was a teacher at UCLA for a number of years, and I just found that I love motivating and inspiring people. And when I moved into being a full-time writer, which has been a great career for me, and it's been a way for me to do social change and all those things that are important to me, but I missed that motivational aspect of just getting people pumped up. When you're ghostwriting, that's not even you. You're writing the voice of other people, and you might be writing a great speech, but it's not your voice.
Yep.
And so this was an opportunity for us to motivate people, inspire people, interact with people in an artistic way. We both love the arts, and it just seemed like a perfect melange of our kind of artistic aspirations, and also our desire to connect and inspire people. And wow, what a great way to take advantage of a new technology.
Gotcha. Now, did you know immediately when you started the YouTube channel that you were going to sort of take us on these incredible journeys, or was it something that you wanted to share but you didn't know where to go? Was there any experimentation early on, or?
We've definitely been experimenting with how we want to do our YouTube. At first, we had no idea what we were doing. We had one silly, janky little GoPro, and like we weren't even, I think our first video was like running up Mount Baldy, but we weren't even together. And we had no idea what we were doing. But gradually over time, we've kind of figured out, okay, we want to take people on these awesome adventures. We want to show people beautiful things, and we're just constantly trying to figure out, okay, what works, what doesn't work, what do we love about it, what are things that maybe aren't as fun for us, and we're just kind of keep focusing on what we do love to do.
I think the thing that we figured out most of all is to make the kind of video that we want to see. That was the key for me, at least. As soon as we just said, you know what, forget about what we think people might want to see. Let's make what we want to see. It just became so real, so genuine, so fun. I mean, we just started crushing it. Just doing the most epic adventures, because that's what I watch all the time. And we're just like, let's just go do it. Let's go do what we want to do, and we'll figure out a way to film it. And sometimes it's too dicey to film because we're hanging off some cliff or something, but we do our best to capture the adventures that we would want to see. And that's been really the funnest thing.
Gotcha. And I know I've said it a couple of times already, but I'm going to repeat it because it's kind of like the intro to my next question. And so basically, you both have such a shared exuberance for being outdoors, and it really comes across in the videos, obviously. But I'm hoping you guys can dig in a little bit more and talk about your separate strengths and how your separate strengths complement each other, and how that makes you such a great team, because you guys are an amazing team.
Thanks.
So yeah, we were kind of thinking about this too. We think about it a lot, just because when you're out with a partner, obviously you have to work together. We both have different paces, we have different strengths, and we've really gotten pretty good at getting through really challenging things together. And I think it's just because both of our personality types really complement each other. So I'm definitely less of a leader, more of, I think of myself as like the navigator, and Adam
Gotcha.
more as the leader. And so I'm really good at all the technology. I'm really good at, like, I'll plan out our whole routes. A lot of the crazy routes that you guys see on our videos, I've researched all the beta. I've downloaded a bunch of different GPX maps and things like that. I have it on the phone.
Gotcha.
That's my role. But I'm not so much the one who wants to be leading and finding the route and going first. That's definitely more of an Adam thing. It's probably because I'm a little sister, and when I was a little girl, my brother would go off and do crazy things, and I didn't want to be the first one doing these crazy things. But as soon as I saw him doing it, I was like, oh, okay, I got that. I can do that. Right? So you're definitely more of the leader, I think.
I think that's absolutely true. And the opposite of true is true for me. I was an older brother. Okay. And so I think it just comes very natural to me to go first and to sort of lead the way. But if you're going to do that, it's just so great to have someone that you just know always has your back, always has the navigation right there. Because I'm pretty good at navigating, but sometimes I'm like, I don't know which way to go. And Elise will inevitably have downloaded 3 kind of really fantastic GPX tracks and be like, well, according to this one, like, excellent.
Yeah, I can recall several occasions. Well, I can recall at least 2 when you guys actually put that in the video, and it was so awesome. It's like, Adam, I'm not quite so sure that's the right way to go. It's just awesome.
I'm super confident. I'll just be like, the GPS says otherwise.
It's so true.
That's so awesome. So, yeah, let's just dig a little bit deeper here, because, you know, the perspective that I come from, you know, on my channel is just kind of like, I feel like I'm always just kind of like head down grinding, trying to get a little bit faster, pushing the limits for my age, et cetera, et cetera. And the reason that I'm drawn to you guys so much is because of the sheer sense of adventure. It's like you guys are coming at the running thing from like exactly the opposite side of me, where you're just saying, I'm out here running just for the sheer joy of it. And I'm just hoping you guys can talk more about that. Try to share that exuberance, because I think there's a lot of people, especially that are watching this right now on my channel, that are more in my, you know, I think unfortunately, in my headspace where it's just kind of like push, 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 and you never necessarily take the time to smell the flowers. And I just want you to take the opportunity to kind of share your perspective on just enjoying the journey.
So glad you asked that. I come from a track background as well. So training to be a miler, I don't know if you run mile. I think you do slightly longer things in general.
Yeah, the mile just scares me. But
the mile is freaking awful, Paul. It's basically a sprint. I mean, exactly. You're just dying for, well, I would say 4 minutes, but I wasn't that fast. But you're dying for, you know, 4 minutes and 40 seconds or whatever it is, just dying the whole time. And you're just trying to eke out a second here or a second there. And I did enjoy the competition of it, but once I was done competing, getting back out into nature and just feeling the joy of running, I don't even time most of my runs now. And they're still pretty fast, but I don't time them. I don't why. I just want to be out there running ridges feeling the beauty, just literally feeling at one with nature. To me, it's about the breathing. It's almost a moving meditation. I don't know if you know, you meditate, but when you meditate, it's really very much a focus on your breath.
Mhm.
And for me, running is that as well. It's just a focus on your breath and on the beauty of just being. And it's obviously not as slow of a breath as if you weren't moving rapidly.
Yeah.
It's pretty fast breathing, but it's still a focus on the breath and the rhythm. God, I love it. And so it's become this thing where instead of sort of dreading the next workout, because it's like, oh my God, if I don't go faster than I did last workout, I'll feel like a failure.
Mhm.
Of course, I'm looking forward to it because it's my beautiful meditation time. And by taking that time pressure off of myself most of the time, it just has really increased my training. And that's not to say that once in a while, I'll still try to FKT something or, you know, get up a hill. Yeah, that still happens, but it's very rare. Most of the time it's just joy.
And you know, Paul, what I'll also say
Mhm.
is I used to be totally like you in terms of mentality towards running. And especially early on when I started running, I was more of like I wanted to do marathons, and I was training for my second marathon. I was on track to qualify for Boston, and I was just pushing myself harder, harder, harder. I'm a very type A personality. I always want to go, go, go. I always want the next big thing. And I was not listening to my body. I was not letting myself rest. And I got hurt. Of course, you know, I was out like every weekend I wanted to do, could I do a 20 mile this weekend? Could I do 24 the next weekend? And it was just too much for my body. And I learned the hard way, and I had to take a lot of time off from running. And probably at this point, I mean, a lot of the reason I don't race anymore is because I don't think my body, I mean, just with certain injuries and pain, I don't think it can necessarily handle it. But what I've really learned is, hey, I can figure out what I can do, and I'm going to do that as best as I can and as much as I can. And the fact that I can still now get out and run on the trails and go on these crazy hikes and climbs and adventures, I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah.
Like there was a time when I thought I might not be able to ever run again. And the fact that I can get out and do something and do something that's as amazing as what we're doing and exploring this beautiful earth, I feel overwhelmed with gratitude for that. And that's really what it's all about for me. It's no longer about the times or the pace or pushing myself for how many miles I can get this weekend. It's just about being out there.
I'm just so grateful to you guys. I just want to make sure everybody understands this, that you have taken that appreciation and channeled it into your YouTube channel, because man, you guys have just done a wonderful job of sort of opening my eyes to the possibilities of, you know, seeing running from that, I think, what is a more healthy perspective that you guys present. So thank you guys for that. And I want to move on now and talk a little bit about what motivates you guys now, what your plans are going forward, not just for the channel, but just for you guys as runners and hikers in general.
So as far as being a runner, right now running is more, as we discussed, it's not so much about time now, it's about purpose. And so many of the adventures we do now are these what we call sufferfests, where you are starting right at dawn or even a little before dawn and trying really hard to get back before dark, especially if it's kind of a dicey descent.
Yeah.
And that means you've maybe got, in the winter, you might only have 10 hours to do a lot of miles and a lot of vertical.
Yeah.
And so the running is just serving a purpose to try to get you up and down safely and quickly. The same thing goes for being the first ones out on the trail for us, because we do like to film things when we go. You don't want to be annoying other hikers, you don't necessarily want them in your shot either.
Yeah.
And so running just gets us out there first. We're just almost always the only ones out on any given trail, even if it's a pretty popular trail, because even if we didn't start first, we'll be the fastest and we get out there quickly. And that purpose is wonderful. And so that's really the goal of the running now, is to just serve a purpose to get us up and down safely and quickly, because it's very, very useful. And you start doing longer and longer things. Going fast is a very important tool. It's just as important as bringing enough water. You know what I mean? You can bring less water if you go faster.
Yep.
And I think people sometimes forget that speed is really an essential mountaineering tool.
And then we also just have some like big climbing goals and different hikes that we want to try to accomplish. Definitely rim to rim to rim is something like pie in the sky we would love to do. I don't know if my body will let me do it, but I would really love to. And then we were talking about the Great Wall of China Marathon.
Really
Wow.
want to do that.
Before COVID happened. And so we don't know, if we'll be able to make it out there, but that marathon just sounds so awesome. And it's so much like up and down climbing. I feel like, time would not really be what's most important. It would just be like getting to do it and finish it. It would be so awesome.
The joy of just that intercultural exchange
Yeah.
and being there with other people who are suffering. And on the Great Wall of China, we've never even been to China. What a cool way to go to China and have something to do there.
Oh God.
We definitely have fun like that.
I tell you what, if you guys do that, please consider expanding what you guys do. Like, I would love to see a series based off of an adventure like that, but I would also love to see like almost like an expanded documentary style video come out from you guys. That would just be amazing, because that, that's such an extended adventure. I would love to see a long form of that. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. Maybe even include some of the training leading up to it and things like that.
There you
like
go.
going
There
up
you
and
go.
down like endless sets of stairs.
Yeah,
We were
absolutely.
thinking of getting a crew together too, like of other runners who wanted to go over and do it with us. So if you want
Keep
to
it in mind.
Hey, I'll tell you what, if I can free up some time, I'm there.
Yeah.
Talk about jumping into the deep end, right? That'd be awesome. Cool, guys. So I'm going to ask you a question now. It's just kind of like more of a left field thing, but I'm hoping you guys can share something that all of your subscribers and all of your followers might not already know about you.
Want me to go?
Mhm.
I have Crohn's disease. I've had it since I was a kid.
Okay.
And I don't know, there aren't a ton of runners with Crohn's disease, and it's a tough thing. I mean, it can definitely, and it's one of the reasons that I don't do that many races, quite honestly.
Gotcha.
Because you just don't know when it's going to come and bite you. And it's nicer to be on your own recognizance and be able to have a start time that's your start time, because you might, things might not be going so well with your body
Gotcha.
at any given time. And we don't talk about that a lot, but it's definitely something that occasionally I might mention to someone, or certainly when we have a lot of subscribers who have disabilities and other reasons why they can't do the kind of adventures that we do. Yeah. And I sometimes like to, if someone writes us about that, I will tell them about my Crohn's, just almost kind of in a more private message, and just say, hey, listen, I know that you're limited, but that doesn't have to limit your ultimate potential. It's just about finding workarounds.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you shared that here, because I think that's a really important and inspiring message, Adam. I think that's great because, like you said, there are a lot of people who unfortunately, yeah, they're just not physically capable of getting out and doing that. But I think there are a lot of people who, with your motivation and inspiration, may just take a chance and may just push themselves just to see what they are capable of. And it doesn't have to be climbing mountains. It doesn't have to be endless treks through wilderness, but if they can get out there and live a healthier life and be happier for it, that's great. And thank you for sharing that here.
Thanks, man. And this goes back to something that you do on your channel, which is, it starts with running 50 yards. You're out on a walk at the beach and you just say, I'm going to run 50 yards. Yeah. And maybe that feels incredibly difficult, but you can do 50 yards. And then once you did that, you can do 100. And honestly, it's just those little steps. Pretty soon you're doing a marathon if that's your dream. It works like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. Elise, what can you tell us? Something that your subscribers might not already know about you.
Well, they might know this, but I don't think everybody knows this, that we do pretty much all of our own music for our channel. And every once in a while, people will be like, that voice kind of sounds like Elise. And so, yeah, I mean, we just figured out pretty early on that YouTube copyright laws with music can get really nitty gritty, really challenging. And it's been such a fun artistic project just to start singing again. And so, yeah, we got some like the Ableton live music program, and I just started learning a couple months ago. And so
Oh, wow.
definitely trying to improve, and it's been really fun to have that also as part of our music and part of our videos and part of our, just our journey with YouTube.
It's really become a major part of our creative process, actually.
Yeah.
Like when we have an epic ascent, like the one, did you see the Mount Silliman one that we did pretty recently?
Oh yeah.
That thing was so epic. And we're like, we need an epic song. Maybe, I was sort of thinking of the inspiration of Adele's Skyfall, a song like that. And freaking Elise just went in her little creativity cave and came out with the dopest song. Oh my gosh. Like I just listen to that song sometimes to inspire myself when I'm about to go out for a run.
That's utterly amazing because yes, I very much do recall that video, and I very much do recall the music that goes with it. I'm not just playing here. Like the whole thing came across as so amazing. That is like amongst my top favorite videos for you guys because the whole thing came together so perfectly. It was just like, wow. And Elise, I'm not going to put you on the spot here, but put a pin in that whole musician thing, because after we get off from recording this, I've got a question for you. So just keep that in mind. So guys, I'm going to ask a question now. I think you probably maybe have already answered this, but I'm going to give you a chance to dig a little deeper. How has running and hiking changed your lives for the better?
Well, I think for me, it definitely goes back to how Adam was originally talking about, that perseverance and also gratitude. And, when we're out there on these crazy runs and these crazy hikes, and we're in pain, we're bloody, we're sweaty, sometimes I'm in tears. When you come back to your just everyday real world life just, those normal frustrations, the daily stresses, they just don't seem all that bad.
Yep.
And the other thing is, like, we've been on some of these hikes and climbs now where there's been moments where I thought, I could die. I remember being on the top of Kilimanjaro and thinking, wow, like there is a chance I could die up here. And when you get back to reality and you realize you're alive and you're healthy and you're fine and you've just done this insane thing, you're just so grateful for everything. And so the perseverance and the gratitude and just how great it makes everything else in life seem, it's pretty amazing.
I totally agree with that. And actually, now that you mentioned Kilimanjaro, I had an experience like that too. I'm pretty prone to altitude sickness at very high altitudes, and Kilimanjaro is the highest we've ever been. And that was really challenging because you're very high for days. And oh my gosh, to be able to persevere day after day through real difficulty, it truly does make the whole rest of life seem like a breeze. And of course, it's type 2 fun too. I look back on Kilimanjaro as one of the favorite things that we've ever done.
Sure.
But at the time, honestly, I was suffering. I was suffering from the altitude. And then so when you go on even a long, hard run here, it's not like that. You're just so grateful to have that sea level air and oxygen. And so what used to feel like suffering isn't. So pushing ourselves in that way has just been a real revelation in terms of how much joy we can live our everyday lives with.
That's so great. Yeah, that's awesome because that's one of the big sort of threads that I see with a lot of runners who really push themselves, and is afterward. You just kind of realize, life ain't that bad. It's pretty fun actually. Right. So very cool. I love that answer from both of you. So with that, guys, I want to ask you for a favorite piece of advice that you guys can share for other runners, and then after that, talk about a favorite piece of advice that you can share with other YouTubers.
Okay, you want to do the runners?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back for the runners. It definitely, for me, it goes back to what I was talking about, how I learned early on when I got injured about pushing yourself. And I think really my whole philosophy towards running now is listen to your body and be kind to it, treat it well. And for me, like, I no longer really follow a set plan, a set training plan. Every morning when I wake up, I ask myself, okay, how is my body feeling today? What feels sore? Do I have any pain? What would feel good for my body? And then I do that. And a lot of that becomes a lot of like stability work, a lot of injury prevention work. And it has totally changed the way I feel about running, the way I feel about fitness. It's not always just about, pushing. It's about feeling good and being able to get out there and run and feel great when I do it.
And along those lines, I think my advice is just to, even if you're someone who is running for time and you want to race, don't always time your runs. Sometimes just breathe. Just focus on your breathing, focus on your rhythm. It is so beautiful. And you honestly won't be running slower anyway. If you know what I mean? If you had someone else time it for you, it'd be about the same. That's actually happened to me where I sort of accidentally timed myself but wasn't looking at the clock. Yep. It's basically the same pace as it would have been if I'd been pushing it. Sometimes, honestly, for me, I go even faster because I find the zone, and with the breathing and the cadence. And sometimes it's joyous to push your cadence a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And when you're not worried about the time and you're not thinking, oh, was it faster than last week? You're just pushing the cadence and breathing. You'll be amazed at the kind of breakthroughs that you can make, even with speed.
Oh yeah, I'm with you 100%.
Cool, man. That's my
That's so cool. That's great advice. Now I'm going to push you a little bit and sort of circle back. If you were going to give advice, your favorite piece of advice to other YouTube creators, I'd love to hear that.
For me, it is, don't try to make the video you think people want to see. Make the video you want to see. Other people are not that different from you. And certainly there's millions and millions of people out there who watch YouTube. Some of them will like what you like. And if you're making what you like, it's going to be awesome and fun and genuine, and you will find an audience. We are absolutely testament to that. We started making the things we like, and for a little while we're wondering, do other people just not like this? Because it takes that it takes the algorithm a while to figure out what you do. You can't just make a video and you just leap off. It doesn't work like that.
Exactly.
But as you start to just gradually, people start to find you, and they love it because you love it. That's what it's got to be. And I don't care. You could be doing basket weaving. As long as you're making the basket weaving video you want to see, you will find an audience.
Yeah. And I think it also, for us, YouTube it's a passion. And we obviously, we both work full-time jobs. We live in the real world, we have to work for a living. And if we started to do something besides what we love, if we were making videos purely for the views, it would start to seem like a job. And that's just, for us, it's just, it's not what we're doing this for. We're doing this because we love it. And why take away that joy by making something that you don't want to see?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think the joy that you guys bring to your videos is just utterly apparent. And I think that's why you guys have grown, exploded so momentously on YouTube lately. It's really well deserved. I want to make sure I say that on camera. Everybody who's watching this, you don't necessarily have to hit pause and then go over to their channel right now, but as soon as this is over, get over there. And I'm going to use that as a segue, guys, because I would love for you guys to share all of your social media outlets so that people can find you, not just on YouTube, but everywhere you guys are. Please share all that.
All right. So it's pretty much LiveHardxLoveHard on YouTube. We also have the same handle on Instagram, and we're LiveHardxLoveHard.com. So that's also how you can find us by email as well. we'd be happy if you guys reached out to us. We love connecting with everyone here.
We do.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And no worries. I will have all of that in the show notes below by the time this video goes live so that people can find you really easily, because I want to get as many people over to your channel as possible, because I just can't say it enough. You guys are just, I love you guys, but I also love the shots you guys get. It's just mind blowing. So
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you so much, Paul.
yeah, thank you guys for being here. It was an absolute pleasure just to get to know you a little bit better. And yeah, what else can I say? I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. You know, we're at the beginning of the week, so I can't say enjoy your weekend quite yet, but
We'll get there.
exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Paul.
This was really awesome. Thanks again for asking us to be on this.
Just appreciate you being here so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.